how do you become emotionally fit to manage a business? So like when we say emotionally fit, like think about like being focused, not distracted, like keeping your composure during like ups and downs, remaining positive, even though you're surrounded by negative, and really just having that drive and resilience to kind of get through for those people who just don't understand what is being emotionally fit mean.
Love this question so much. I'm going to let you answer this one first. What's your take on it?
So my story is, I always think back to like relationships, right? And the excitement always fades. And so how many people have like stepped into a relationship and it's like the honeymoon period and you're like, oh man, it's like they could do all these things wrong. Like you're not messaging your friends to try and message them more, or you're not going out and seeing stuff, or you're not focusing on your business, etc., because you got like this new partner. And so then this honeymoon period is this excitement where nothing could go wrong. And so you're just always going to put all your time, effort, and focus into this thing. But then the honeymoon period fades. And now it's like, do the fundamentals still exist? Like, do they support me? Do they encourage my goals? Do I still love them, et cetera, et cetera? And I see the same in business. A lot of people think about their business as the excitement as step one. I've got this new idea, this new product. I found this thing from China. I'm going to import it. I'm going to do this. And that excitement wanes over a period of time. And then that's when emotional fitness kind of kicks in. And so when I look at this, I go, ignoring the first 6 to 12 months, because everyone's going to be G'd up about a new idea, about a new concept, etc. Right? Like people will just plow through that because they're excited. So I'm like, let's talk about after that. When I think about that, the key fundamentals around trying to maintain your emotional fitness beyond the initial sort of excitement and, oh my gosh, it's a new idea, is really getting the fundamentals right and understanding what the actual fundamentals of being emotionally fit are. And the thing that hit the top of my list was always long-term. And I know you kind of mentioned this around like investments in a previous episode, but if you think about a long-term view, the short ups and downs never matter. Like if you're driving from Melbourne to Sydney and you've hit a pothole, it doesn't matter. You'll never remember that pothole. If you accidentally swerved to not hit a cat, you'll never remember that you swerved to hit the cat. You'll remember the whole journey as the journey as it is. And so my number one point for this is after that initial honeymoon period and you get into really running your business and trying to maintain emotional fitness, number one skill you have to have is that long-term view, because all of the peaks and troughs that happen now of a client canceling, an employee leaving, someone being upset, etc., does not matter. Because you go, this whole thing is a long-term play. It's like a marriage. I'm in this for decades. And so this blip on my radar is a blip, and I'll work through the blip, but I'm going to have many of them as I progress through everything. And so that was like the number one thing after the initial excitement, because anyone can weather a storm through initial excitement. Then I'm like, if you have that, you'll win. Like your emotional fitness will be completely fine because you understand where you're going.
I love that so much. I feel like I don't even need to answer, but I will, of course. I will give my opinion, but at the same time, that's so the zooming out thing, I think is huge, right? Like volatility looks way bigger when you zoom in.
Yep.
When you zoom out, it's like it's way smoother than you thought. Right? And great examples as well. Very well answered. I like it. I might actually share a story here because I think this has been really interesting, but I just want to make one point is like, even in how this question's been asked, how do you become emotionally fit? If I said to you, Grant, well, how do I become cycling fit? Or how do I become gym fit? What would you say? You go, train. Like put in some, I won't swear, but like put in some work, right? Do some reps. And I think that something I had to learn, right, is so my first few years in business, right, I kept hitting the same ceiling.
Yep.
So I did, all right, I got to an income level and then bang, kind of crashed. Went back down, then I got up to the same income level in a different business or a different service, and I like bang, kind of crashed, and like I was like, "What's the common denominator? Me." So I must be the problem, right? I must be the problem, and I decided one of the things I was going to do instead of hiring another business mentor is I was going to actually hire a personal mentor. So I actually went on a path for a whole year where I did some personal development programs. And I will give a shout out. There was 2 I did which were fantastic. One was MJB seminars from the crew in Perth. They were excellent. It helped me a lot around like money mindset and also relationships and a ton of things. And then the other one was DeMartini. And the key thing that I got out of these, right, is that I had never been able to see this before, is like there's actually good things that come out of bad things, and there's bad things that come out of good things. And I'll give you an example. When business is running smooth, we're not actually getting more skilled, right? We actually might become complacent and lazy because like things are good, I'm going to go out for an extra glass of wine, no big deal. But when things are hard, do you know what? It actually like forces you to innovate, forces you to get better. So there's like this thing, and I was like, so wait, you're telling me that no matter what happens, like there's a positive and negative. And I went through this process, and I won't disclose the process, one, because I'll butcher it, and two, it's obviously their IP. But after going through that and having a bit of a different lens on the world, my emotional volatility changed wholeheartedly. And for people listening to this episode, you heard me speak before or in the earlier question about like, not viewing things as like boom and bust or bears and bulls, bull markets, right? I go seasons, just different seasons. Right, there's positives that can come out of both of these and negatives that come out of both of these. And that really chilled me out in a huge way. Before doing that, emotionally myself, I was way less fit to run a business. Yep. I really, really was. So that would be point number one for me in a big way. So if you are someone that feels like, you particularly get like, up on the ups and down on the downs, doing something like that can really help you in a big way, as it helped me in a big way. The second one I'll say though is like, the more years you are in business, the more numb you come to it, or numb you become to it.
Yep.
And I'll give you an example. I remember when I made my first sale online, practically through a street party.
Let's go.
And now it's just like, oh yeah, just another one. So like, I think if you're newer in business, like please acknowledge that as you do more of this, just like people who run marathons, right? As they do more of them, it just becomes normalized and you become less volatile in that way as well. And then the last one I'll say here is control the inputs. So this is your friends and family and peers and mentors, right? If you are with people that are more stable and killing it, you will be more stable and killing it. If you consume mass news, or you hang around people that are negative, or you consume like things that, outrage you, which can be addictive. Like I have some people in my life that are addicted to Sky News and that is continually outraged by the media cycle. And it's like you got to be really careful of that yourself. So like, what inputs are you doing? Like if you listen to a D Martini podcast every morning instead of watching the latest Sky News thing, just think how differently you would approach your day, where your emotional fitness would get to. So that's more of how I would approach things there.
Yeah, and actually, I'll piggyback off that because I think it's the same for social media. Right, unless you have like curated your social media to be like this perfect remnants of like education and motivational stuff, like your Instagram feed and your Facebook feed is not going to be the source of inspiration to make sure that you're level-headed as you're stepping into your days. Like,
isn't it actually the source of unhappiness?
It literally is the source of unhappiness, right? And not to mention it's wasting your time. And you did steal my point number 2, which was like, to become emotionally fit, you just have to put in the reps. Like that is exactly what I had down. It's
a skill. People don't think it is. It's totally a skill.
Yeah, to use your analogy, you can't jump on a running track and expect to win and then just go, cool, no, didn't win, I'm going to move away. You got to put in the reps, you got to race the races, and you just need to keep doing it over and over and over again, right? And because it will build that callus, if you will. Like you will fail at it. Like most new business owners, you won't be emotionally fit. You'll probably think you are. And then you'll get knocked down. You go, oh man, this is the worst thing ever. And then that will build a callus. And then you get knocked down and build another callus. And it'll be another callus, another callus. No one is born being just amazingly emotionally fit. And if they think that they are, they're probably not ready for what's going to come and hit them in the face.
Completely.
The third one, which was a huge power for myself, was like, you know me, I love my meditation. I do like to have a good reflect. And there's actually a book by a guy that we idolize, which is like Keith Cunningham, called The Road Less Stupid. And it talks a lot about like thinking time. And so one of my points is take the time to reflect and think. Like a lot of people don't actually allow themselves to reflect on something negative that has happened. Right. So if a client has cancelled, don't go, the client cancelled and this is like the worst thing on the face of the planet. I'm going to lose 50% of my revenue, 20% of my revenue, whatever. Stop and think about it. Like dedicate an hour. Go and have a coffee. What happened? What didn't they like? Why did they cancel? What could you do different? How can that drive innovation in your business? Was it an employee? Was it something you did? And actually use that, to your point, to the positive. think about your positives and negatives. Yes, the negative is an impact in revenue and a lost client and all that kind of stuff. But what positives can you take from that? Like, how can you utilize that better? And if it's nothing more than just feedback on what your business is doing and how people perceive it, great. Use that as a force for good. But also on that thinking time, outside of it being reactionary, which is you thinking about something that's already happened and trying to internalize it and understand what lessons you should be changing, you can also do it to think about things in the future so you can be more prepared, right? So you can use that thinking time and that sort of reflect and write concept to say, okay, well, these are the things that worry me at the moment that haven't happened yet but might happen. What can I do different in order to prepare myself for them moving forwards?
Hey, fellow business owner, if this topic and value-packed short video has resonated with you at all, and you want to dive deeper into being a full stack business owner, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now.